Want to be an entrepreneur panel coming along for a chat with my wonderful guests. I apologise, but 2 of the guests have had to pull out. That was the female contingent on the panel, and that was Francesca and Marianne. But they will be here again next term to be able to do their sessions. So apologies for that if you were hoping to definitely see them. Anyway, I'd like to introduce my panel. We have Dom, aka Angry Britain. We have Uche, who runs Pappzd magazine, and we have the Renown Boys, which is Wretch, Duane and Zeon, who run the Renown group, documentary arm and films and all sorts, but I'll let them describe what it is that they do. Now I'm going to start with you, Dom, because I find your story utterly fascinating. If you don't follow Angry Britain on Twitter, I suggest you do that immediately, because Dom, you've made a career of basically ranting for the last 5 years, and now you make money from that.
Yeah, it's been a slightly unusual story. I spent 12 years in IT before I got involved in blogging. I was out with some mates one night, smashed, and we were moaning, and we kind of realised that there was nowhere online to go and moan. So next day, the hangover, I bought the domain, set the website up, and 5 years later, I'm sitting on stage in front of you, telling you how to make money from talking crap on the internet.
So it's not just that, out of doing that, you now run a social media company right off the back of doing that.
I do, yeah. My main thing, and it doesn't really make any money. It's me that makes the money. I write for MSN, I write for the Mirror. I've just picked up another writing gig. I can't tell you about it just yet.
It's a big writing gig for a national newspaper, but you can't tell you what.
Which is pretty cool. But I've also set up a social media company off the back of my own thing, because obviously with 33,000 followers on Twitter, I've got a rough idea that I know what I'm talking about. So companies come to me and go, we need help, come and help us, and the money in that is really good. So my actual brand doesn't really make any money, but it's the activity off the back of that brand that's earning me a not bad income.
And so it wasn't something that you set out to do?
No, so I got a little bit lucky, maybe right time, right place. I've made good contacts. Twitter's brilliant for that, so is Facebook. They're really, really good for meeting people that are a little bit outreach for you. So people like journalists, PRs, even celebrities, they're all there for the taking. If you can catch their attention, they can come in incredibly useful. People like Charlene. I met Charlene on Twitter.
Yeah, yeah.
That's how we met.
No, I think we were in a bar when we first met.
Really?
You may well have been in a bar when we first met-ish. But the point of it is you did something out of the ordinary that is now your career, which is utterly fantastic, really.
It is, yeah.
We'll get back to talking to you in a sec, but Uche, I'm going to go on to you. And Pat, I knew about you before, but really your name came from, well, you were on the big stage as a result of releasing a sex tape.
Yeah, we were.
Not his sex tape.
Well, I'm hoping you
I should perhaps explain that a little bit better.
I wasn't going to arrange it. But, so Pappzd, if you haven't seen it or know about it, what I wanted to do with Pappzd was create like does anybody know gossip?
Yeah.
So we wanted to create gossip or sort of like a TMZ, but not so much TMZ for the UK, but we wanted it to be urban because already there was Heat and there was sort of, I don't know, Grazia and everything else that kind of done gossip for the mainstream. There's also Mr. Paparazzi and Holy Moly. So I thought the urban needed it because I wanted to know, it was all good knowing, you know, sort of that Wretch was bringing out a new album or something, but I wanted to know if he preferred McDonald's or Burger King fries, and I still don't know the answer to that. Yeah, but
Leave that as a mystery.
It's still a mystery. I think we've asked it before, but we wanted to kind of get to do gossip about UK urban and do it regularly and frequently. So we started doing it. It was a struggle because the industry didn't want it. We'd write about things we heard that were verified. We always made sure we verified. We didn't just write stuff that was just gossip for gossip's sake. Sometimes we did, we'd say it was gossip. But stuff that we put out as fact, we did verify. So one morning, I got a call very early, about 5 AM, from a member of my team who said that she had a sex tape. We released some sex tapes before that hadn't been so big, but she said she had a sex tape for me to check out. So it was in my inbox and I looked at it and I nearly fell off my chair. And I woke up my girlfriend and I said, babe, have a look at this. Is that Talisa? and she said, yes, that's definitely Talisa. So we come down to earth, and the girls who work with me were on the phone like, we've got to put it out, we've got to put it out. And at this time she was major, she was the X Factor judge, you know, the female boss, and I was really, really scared. And I'm not even joking, I said to the girls, if we put this out, Simon Cowell will make our plane fall out of the sky. You know, this is whatever, we will just be in for it. And this will put us on a whole new plateau. And my girlfriend's a barrister, so I said, babe, you know, what do I do here? She said, yeah, do it. So we published, I got ready for work, went to the office. By the time I got in the office, all hell had broken loose, and we were on the map. So that's our story.
And how's the site doing as a result?
Oh, it's doing fantastic. We've had so many offers for buyouts. People wanted to buy us at the time. We sort of said no to those. Although sometimes you look back and you kind of wish you said yes to them, but we said no. We're really proud that we said no, because we felt that it would lose what it was, and we wanted to keep that authenticity about it. We wanted to constantly be writing about people like Wretch or Jessie J or you know, KDB, people like that. We didn't want it to just sort of go fully mainstream and just about.
You wanted to keep that level of
stuff
credibility.
like that. You're not interested, you know. So yeah, exactly, yeah.
All right, moving on to the Renown Group. I've worked, and I know these guys quite well. I used to work with Duane. Where did the idea from it come from? I'll ask you, Zeon.
Oh, me?
Okay. I feel like you've sat for enough and you chilled now, so you can answer my question.
Well, we've been working, Wretch and I have been working together since we were about 16. We've been working loosely with Duane from the moment Wretch got his first pair of BBC One show. And Duane was quite rebellious in that there would be events or opportunities that really shouldn't have been getting. And Duane internally would fight battles and create fires to get us in or get us as part of the event. So we all had the same kind of ethos amongst each other. And around the time when the decision was made for Duane to leave One Extra, and he was trying to seek clarity on what he wanted to do, because he don't want to talk about it in front of you.
No, as long as it's not bad.
But he didn't want to be seen as just purely a presenter. And Wretch and I were very passionate about creating opportunities for more young people, purely based on their talent, rather than you're a musician and you're a rapper. And we just kind of knocked heads. We felt that Duane had helped us out so much. What can we do together to have a similar brand that we can work around? And we'd been joking around saying, oh, renowned this, renowned that, just in our own time. So when we presented it to Duane, he was like, that's perfect. And he started straight away working with the brand and whatnot, and it's kind of just gone from there.
That's brilliant. I mean, how important is it, or how difficult is it for you, Wretch, to be doing what you do in your day job, but then also being part of this fantastic film, TV and publishing arm?
Do you know what it is? I'm one of them people, I can't sleep. Like, if you see me on Twitter or you see me on Instagram, you know I probably have a 4-hour window, and I'm just so interested in what I do that I'm excited.
Has it been a learning curve for all of you though, running this kind of business, would you say?
Yeah, it's different, and everyone kind of does different things. Like, I might be the person who kind of finds the talent just because I'm just on all the sites. I'm just listening to new material, listening to brand new artists. The artist could have like one view on YouTube, and it's just like something I'll hear and love, and then I'll click through all their stuff and hear their new material. And it could be an artist, like an actual painter, it could be a drummer, it could be a poet, it could be a singer, anything to do with arts. I'm just so interested in, I'm so keen that I kind of just find things.
So, Duane, explain to us exactly how the group works. I know I keep mentioning there are lots of different arms, but explain to us how all those come together into one.
Okay, just to echo what Wretch and Zeon said, it was kind of formed to basically give opportunities to young up-and-coming talent. So in order to do that, we felt that our strengths were in the publishing world. So we publish musicians, also management, we manage artists, as well as painters and etc. like Zeon mentioned, but also we've all had experience in the world of TV and film, whether it's Zeon accompanying Wretch to, you know, a magazine show that he's featuring on, myself presenting different shows for MTV, BBC, whatever. So we felt that it was necessary to start a production company along with the management and publishing as well. So that's basically how it's separated: music management, publishing, and films, which is TV production.
And if any of you've watched the channel London Live, you guys have a show on London Live, don't you?
Yeah, so we've got one of the flagship shows on London Live at the moment, which is F2's Kick-Off, which is about two freestylers basically just travelling around London with some great backdrops and just showing their incredible skills, with different features on each programme each week, from different personalities, different musicians, and different footballers as well feature on the show.
And you just sold this to all territories, haven't you?
Yeah, so basically how TV works, which I'm sure a lot of you know, is you make the bulk of the money when you sell the programme after the channel it features on. So with London Live, we kind of spend a lot of that budget that they give us on making the programme and different various bits and pieces around it, like promotion. And then when we sell that programme on, after the programme's been aired on that network, that's when you make your money around the world.
Okay, talking of programmes, Dom, you are constantly approached by TV companies to use your brand and to use your contacts. I mean, how easy or hard was it for you to build your brand to the stage where you are getting all these offers from outside?
It's pretty tricky. I mean, what you guys are going to find if you go out to try and be a blogger of some sort is that you're going to get asked to do stuff for free. Don't do it. Because what you're doing, you should be valuing yourselves, you're valuing your skills, you're valuing the industry. It makes it really hard for everybody else to earn money if you guys are giving it up for free. And I did it, hands up. I did it the first 2 years, building it up, did anything for anybody for free. But the brand is now so strong that I don't have to anymore. And talking TV, I've just knocked back Channel 5, who wanted me to basically open my contacts book, open 5 years of experience and effort for free. So when I asked for free, I said no, away from Dubai. So you'll see that show on Channel 5 at some point if it's nothing to do with it, it will be terrible.
But in terms of obviously building your social media company, building your brand, what sort of advice would you give to someone if they wanted to do something similar? Because there are loads of people. I mean, how many of you are blogging at the moment? Yeah, I mean, for those guys who are blogging, how do you go from that to actually making money from it?
How brave are you?
Really brave.
Really brave? How brave?
Really brave.
How brave? Would you do a McCann joke?
A what joke?
A McCann's joke.
A Madeline McCann joke.
No, I wouldn't.
Yeah,
So
see, I would.
think
Several times. It's when you're blogging, it's about obviously what you're trying to do is you're trying to have a voice in a really, really crowded marketplace. And much like the Pappzd guys, they needed something really special to make them stand out. So what you have to do is you have to kind of grow up there when you're blogging and say what you think, even if people don't agree with you, even if it's wrong, or even if it's controversial or a little bit near the knuckle, you need to have the balls to say it, and that's the way that you guys are going to stand out in that marketplace. And sometimes you're going to get it wrong, and sometimes you're going to feel the heat. I mean, if you had a look at my timeline, pick any day of the week, any night of the week when there's something on, have a look at my time and see the heat that I'm getting, but what I'm doing is creating discussion, creating a voice, and getting noticed, and that's what makes my account stand out from, angry plumber or whatever it is. But you need to kind of when you blog, you need to have a pair and so thing.
I mean, there's a lot that Dom tweets that I just couldn't even begin to retweet because it is rather offensive. But I love what he writes because it's very honest, and that's the reason why you've got the number of followers that you do.
There's lines. Obviously, there's lines where
legal lines.
There's legal lines, and there's things like racism, that kind of stuff. That's not me. That's not what the site's about. But the site's about saying things that you guys are probably thinking. If you think there's too much immigration, or if you think that the telly's crap, that's the sort of things that I will say that a lot of people will shy away from, and that's kind of why I'm known for being the biggest golf shot on Twitter.
And Wretch, how does Renown stand out? What do you guys do to stand out in, again, a crowded market in all of the territories that you guys work in?
I think a lot of the talent that we look after kind of speak for themselves, because they're very unique in what they do, and we try and find special artists. Someone we work with is George the Poet, and when it comes to words and work ethic and just morals and what he stands for as a person, he's just incredible. Do you know what I mean? And I think someone like that is such a standout poet for me. Like, there's a lot of poets in the country, but just what he chooses to speak on and how he articulates himself, he just brings a lot of attention on it, you know, and it's just, we can use our platforms to make that 10 times bigger. And that's what we hope to do. But I just think the talent that we work with is very unique and very special, that, you know, it doesn't work for us.
Well, there's a brain who, there's many people's brains who I love and adore and respect, and Zeon is definitely one of those brains. As you were saying, you've been working with Wretch since you were 16 years old. How does someone go from that to where you are now? How do you learn about everything you need to do about tax returns and you know, paying national insurance and you know, all of that stuff? Oh no, you're in the big leagues, you're in those stars. It doesn't pay tax here. You know, how do you even get your head around all of that stuff? Because essentially, if you want to be an entrepreneur, it's not just about an idea, is it? You have to know how business works as well.
Yeah, I always believe you should surround yourself with people that have been a lot more successful than you and a lot more experienced, and people that you can build a relationship with. Because if you're going to try and be a creative, to then be an amazing tax person and do type of admin stuff, you're going to be taken away from the creativity. So first thing I'd say is get yourself an amazing accountant that you've got references from other people.
Don't forget Barlows.
And for me it's about being really forensic. I'm never happy with where I'm at, never. So I always believe that I just want to work harder and harder so that I can get the next step ahead. And sometimes for me it's a case of having an idea and then searching through the market my own way, or contacting people in that particular market for how they see things, not to deter myself, but just to see where I'm going to find my USP to navigate my way through. So an example might be with George, who just came back from a TV production company that wanted to use him for some Channel 4 program. But because George has been around for a long period of time, he said, "No, actually that doesn't work for me, but I want to do X, X and Y." And we will really kind of learn how it works, but really get what we want to have it, as opposed to meeting an agenda of someone else.
As I said, Duane and I used to work at One Extra when I was a reporter, and Duane was a DJ / presenter. How difficult was it for you to make that transition, and for you to walk into an office and people take you seriously for the job that you do, yes as a presenter, but also as a businessman? Are there any tips that you'd give to someone, you know, if it comes to, you know, raising funds and trying to get investors? You know, what can you do to make people take you seriously?
For me personally, it was quite easy to make the transition. In fact, it was. I felt leaving the BBC put me in a better position, just because when I left the BBC, I was just kind of a young man that had 11 years experience at the BBC. I wasn't Viz as part of Ace and Viz, a part of a show, and I had this kind of almost a glass ceiling that I didn't know was there until I left the BBC. Then I kind of realised my potential in different fields. So for me, leaving was quite easy. The advice I would give to people in terms of kind of getting out there, first of all, I would say you need to really network wherever you can, because a lot of this business is about access, ideas, knowing people as well. So get out there and network. Also, I would say do work experience. I know people hate that, working for free. But I would say, especially in the media, I would say work experience is probably the most valuable thing next to studying, because it is about experience and kind of knowing what you're doing and then meeting those people along the way in work experience as well. So that's kind of how I would advise people to do it. Yeah.
Okay. With you, Uche, obviously you've got a team behind you. How do you create that? How do you find people that you trust to work with your baby, really, to be able to take it on to that next level?
That's the most difficult part. I think for most organisations, they'll tell you that recruitment, getting the right team, is probably the most important thing you can do. And I just want to kind of slowly sort of touch on something that you said, and what you said, and you kind of said don't do anything for free, and you said do the work is great. And they're both right. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I think the point that you were making was when you've got your product, don't give it away for free.
Yeah, when you're trying to build it.
I don't think you were talking about not doing sort of work experience or placements, which you said, and that's so important. A lot of the people who've come through us that have taken on, they have to do like a 3-month placement with us first to get our style, get an understanding of what we do.
How many people do you have working?
We've got 6 at the moment. Funny enough, all female. It's funny because the guys that we've had have, I don't know, what Pappzd being sort of gossip, a lot of guys kind of didn't want to be involved in that and kind of were like, yeah, no, I don't do that, black. And guys that came through would not get it. They wanted to sort of come and write in hood speak, which we don't do. And there are other sites who are fantastic. There's Grind Daily or GRM, there's others, and they're fantastic and we love what we do and work with them. But we don't write in that way. Our USP was that we wanted to create a bridge between sort of like road, the street, and the mainstream. And one of the important things was that people who came to work for us were good writers and had a very good command of English and great ideas. That's key. And it was because of that sort of, if you like, incubation, where people would come and work with us for sort of like 3 months, learn that, iron out the kinks, that we've had people sort of leave us and go to work for ITV and sort of The Guardian and really big magazines. But getting to that point where you can give people the autonomy and the responsibility to look after their section is very important, but you do have to sort of micromanage them first, sort of make sure that they're doing things the way you want them to do. Have trust in them and, sort of like give them leverage to grow, but you're not going to want someone putting out stuff that doesn't represent who you are. You have to understand your brand. You have to understand what your product is. And, we had sort of people come through who thought that we were Perez Hilton type site that just slags people off. A lot of people still think that's what we do.
That's what a
lot of people still think that's what we do, but it's not. What we do, and you said you've got to grow a pair. We do state our opinion. We're very opinionated, and we are not afraid to say, do you know what, that dress you wore didn't work with those shoes.
So how does someone make money from that? Because essentially, you can have a brilliant idea to a cows campaign, but you need to be able to pay bills, have a car, pay a mortgage.
Yeah.
How do you make money from your site?
In the beginning, it was advertising. No, actually, in the beginning, it wasn't. In the beginning, there was nothing. Because no one knows you, no one's going to spend money on advertising on you. We had to really get out there, and we were writing 7, 8, 9 posts a day. Some of you put your hands up, said that you were blogging. I don't know how many you're doing, but if you're doing anything less than sort of 5 or 6 posts a week, I don't know how that's going to work out for you, because like you said, it is a crowded market, and people forget you very quickly. Because we were doing so many posts a day, it'd be like, bing, Twitter, oh my God, these guys, I'm going to follow. And then people knew what we were about and what we were doing. So then the traffic started coming. And when the traffic came, then, if you like, small businesses and, sort of other people who were trying to create something saw our potential and started to advertise. Then we tried to reach out to the bigger people. We wanted to reach out to people. We wanted to get advertising for people like PlayStation 9. And they just laughed at us. Come back to us when you've got this traffic. And then we sort of were lucky enough, we're not a sex tape releasing company, but we were lucky enough that there were people who kind of thought, oh my God, let me send this to... Do you know, we've had so many things that we can't put out and we wouldn't put out, because again, we verify. We've had true things, we've had doctors' medical reports sent to us, faxed to us by people showing us which artists had multiple...
Choose your words carefully.
Yeah. But yeah, and we look at this, and part of we have a moral compass. We do not want to destroy anyone. There are a lot of artists who music or whatever they do or dance isn't their primary job. It's what they want to aspire to, but in the day they might be a nurse, or they might be a tube driver or something. And when we receive information about somebody being found negligent at work and causing the death of somebody because they're a nurse and sending us evidence, we're like, yeah, no, we're not going to put that out. You know, we're not trying to destroy anyone. So people would send us stuff like that.
Yeah.
So we have to be very careful because we're not, this isn't the US, and you know, we're not about that. So eventually we got lots of traffic, we got lots of sex tapes, that boosted our traffic, and around that whole sort of sex tape period, we had about 3 released, we were doing sort of 1 million hits a month. And then the big advertisers came on board. And then
Did they come to you? Or
they came to us.
Ah,
Yeah, and
okay.
I mean, even today, while we were waiting to start, on my smartphone, I've got 2 emails from advertising agencies who want to work with us. And they'll be like, oh, we represent this multinational organisation, and we want space on your site. And we get that. But advertising isn't the main thing. We have to be very agile because that's kind of dying off. So what we started to do was, a lot of the industry has moved on to sponsored posts, where organisations would phone up and say, oh, you know, we've got some statistics, we've got some research, or can you put this out? And we're like, yeah, there's a cost for that. A lot of the time they'll try and say we haven't got a budget, which we were talking about before. They'll always say that. And the thing is what you said, when they say they don't have a budget, say I can't help you then. Just don't give away your product for free.
The fact of the matter is,
Yeah.
they're getting paid.
They're getting paid
So
a
you
lot
should
of
get
money,
paid as well.
a lot of money. You'll have agencies who have been given $1 million on a campaign to get a product out to lots of blogs. And they'll phone you up and say, oh, can you put this new product on your site and write about it? And you say, all right, give us some money. And you're like, oh, no, I haven't got any money. They've got a lot of money, trust me. They're getting paid to phone you to put it on your site. And they've got an allocation to give you. And if you say, okay, I'll do it for free, they're like, great, they'll keep your money.
Yeah.
But, you know, so don't give away your products for free.
How does it work for you, other than obviously with the social media company and stuff? Do you get similar phone calls with advertisers?
Yeah, I get them all the time from various people. But you know, like you said, you can pick and choose who you work for free, if you like.
What sort of, for sponsor pays, for instance, what sort of money are we looking at? £50 a tweet, £100 a tweet?
It kind of depends. It depends on what it is, who it is. The budget's all over the place. There's no kind of like set figure. I mean, how much do you guys think like freelance piece in a national newspaper is worth?
About 200.
Yeah,
Bit more than that. Depends. Quite a few hundred.
a few hundred? Euros? A few hundred, 200, 50 quid. That's the reality. Reality of life for a national newspaper's freelancer is 50 quid. So if you kind of think of that in terms of when people ring you up and ask you to advertise the latest pair of trainers or the latest video game, that's where you need to kind of set your bar. And you shouldn't be afraid to ask for money because they're getting paid. That's right. Everyone who calls you is getting paid by their client to ring you, and what they're doing is trying to get the work for free.
So talking about you guys in the production company, after this question we're going to open it up so make sure you guys are thinking of your questions. How do you guys make your money? I'm not asking for a figure or anything like that.
TV production or
Yeah, but
management?
all of it. So you're taking a percentage of what Wretch makes, for example.
Yeah, I've got.
So if you fail, he starts.
I stopped.
A range of stuff, because not to overcomplicate it, obviously I manage a range of apps, so depending on their success, commission and the cost of that. I also there's a couple of people signed to a production agreement, which means that we try to develop them, but they have other management and they're signed to a record label, but an income still earned for the next 5 to 10 years based upon the initial development.
Yeah.
We also have a publishing company, so we earn royalties based upon radio and TV airplay on particular acts. In terms of the TV and film side, that's
Yeah, so TV and film side, we basically make money from the network, whatever network wants to buy into our ideas. So far we've had London Live, as you mentioned, MTV, BBC Football Focus, Trade Sports, and a lot of online platforms as well, like Copper 90. So
How do you know what to charge them? Because obviously all their budgets will be very different.
Yeah, to be honest, that was trial and error for us to know what to charge. And like Zeon said, it's always good to surround yourself with people that are more successful than yourself, and people that have got more experience than you've got as well. So we kind of lent that knowledge from others around us and kind of gauged it as we went along. what to charge people in terms of budgets. And a couple of the people that we work with on the TV side of things, they actually went to university to study that kind of thing, so they had a bit of guidance in that area as well. So
Have you ever undervalued yourself with an idea and gone,
yeah, to begin with, to get our foot in the door, you have to do that. You have to kind of undercut the bigger production companies that have been there for years and have got that credibility next to their name, whereas we had no experience. So we went in there with amazing access, good production values, and totally undercut other production companies by half. So they will definitely use us, and then our showreel slowly built up, so then we could go in and charge top end for whatever content we were using on networks.
Yeah. And aside from that, I also A&R from Universal, and when I got offered it, I wasn't aware of what A&Rs are earning, so I got offered a certain amount of money. It was quite content with it, but I thought, let me just ask a couple of lawyers, and in the end they doubled the money. So
wow.
if I didn't ask, I would have been content, but I would have been getting ripped off.
Yeah, don't be afraid to ask if you don't know. Don't guess. You know, try.
It's obviously start high, because you can always come down, but you can never go up.
But don't start too high though, because you might scare people off. So start high, but not too high, not ridiculous amount. But the only way you're going to learn is go online, search. These things are all public now. What A&Rs are earning.
Well, no, I'll say a lot of it is about building your network, because the ability for you to phone someone who's more experienced than you, that's invaluable. And I'm always someone to have a big phone book where I could not speak to someone for 2 years and still call them and get advice on something.
It's important. It's that's how Duane and I still in contact. Is that if I need something, I can pick up the phone and call them, like I did for this panel. We're friends, but we're also both our networks are important to each other as well. Okay, I'm going to open it up to the floor because we've got half an hour.
I went to the art.
We've got a microphone as well.
It's not going to make your voice resound around the room. It'll be heard on the
If
film.
you can give your name as well before you answer the question.
Okay, I'm James, and
Stand up, James.
I'm James, and I wanted to ask you guys, how important is a university degree for the choices for the fields that you guys have gone into?
I got quite fed up at school. I was sixth form, didn't go to university, and it's never done me any harm in the long run. So from my point of view, I'm waiting for national newspapers without a degree.
I did a Kanye West. I didn't graduate. I did a college dropout. I've always regretted it. I was a very smart student. 10 GCSEs, 3 A levels, all above A. But when I got on my degree, I took a year out and then went gallivanting. And when I came back, I just wasn't in focus anymore. So I do regret it. But to answer your question, it's not important. I think it's important to definitely have your... No, let me qualify that point. I think it's important to have it, but to succeed in what we're doing, I don't think it's important, because a lot of it is, can you do it and can you do it well?
Okay.
Nobody will ask you what you graduated with. It's just give me results.
I think Uche will kind of agree with that, but from our point of view, both of us had a great degree of luck. It was never supposed to happen like this. And
Check you up, you
It was. I think that we just kind of fell into it. So yeah, we didn't do degrees.
I mean, like you said, you had a career. I had a
Alright, you two have answered it now. Let's move to these three.
No, I don't have none of the above. I don't think it's... Yeah, I know. In terms of like making music and stuff, I don't.
How about when you're sort of looking out for acts and stuff like that? Did you need like a music degree or something like that to understand the riffs and the phrases and all of that stuff?
Nah.
No. Would you have in terms of you guys building up a business, do you think, say, having a business or accounting degree?
I've got a degree.
There you go.
What do you have a degree in?
I got a degree in operation management and HR, and fundamentally what it taught me initially was stepping out of an estate and having to be around people that's come from an alternative background really helped me recognise what the real world is like. After I graduated and got a job not in music, I was able to kind of channel what I'd learned from my modules and link it to life experiences. Now, the one thing I did do while I was going to college and had a degree, I was doing music stuff just purely out of passion. So I was able to kind of marry life experiences with an educational background, and that's what I would recommend to everyone.
Okay.
Because ultimately, you're competing against, even when you graduate, you're competing against me. And I feel that education can help you, but if you're just purely relying on that, you're going to be in the problem. So I would say, whatever your passion is, start from now on whatever level and just keep cracking on with that.
Okay. Thank you.
Another question? Oh, no, not you, Peter. Not you, Peter. This is an incredible platform for you guys to be sat and watching, so I would like some more questions, otherwise I'll just keep chatting.
Hi, I'm Lilipa, and this question goes to everyone. What's been your biggest challenges so far in your careers?
Biggest challenge, Duane.
Oh, well, I think for me, I kind of face challenges every day. I'm not sure. I'll go back to the education thing, because I think getting higher education won't help you get the opportunity to do what you want to do in terms of seeking it out. But once you've got that opportunity, it will help you in that environment. Do you see what I mean? Because I think I got employed by the BBC at a very young age, and I felt
Tell me where
I didn't anyway. But
no, you're age
I don't think I really knew how to carry myself in certain circumstances that I think higher education can teach you to do that as well. So college, university, and so on and so forth. So it's a weird one. And also, I don't think there's one blueprint for everyone. I don't think one thing works for everyone. So if you think college and university helps you be more confident, you know, be slightly more academic, or you need that time to find yourself, then do it. But just to echo again what everyone else has said on this panel, if you feel it's a bit of a waste of time and you just want to get out there, you've got the ideas, you can handle it, then you don't need higher education. So I think for me, kind of starting out was a little bit difficult, because I hadn't really had those kind of, you know, I was walking into I didn't really know how to socialise.
No, he didn't.
As well as, you know, I was yeah, so, you know, for me, where I came from, like, you know, an estate which I'm sure a lot of you are from, you know, the highest form of respect was nodding my head. So I went in there to different BBC execs and I was like, so, and for me having a flagship show, they were like, this guy's really ungrateful, doesn't know how to conduct himself, and I think it really held me back. And jokes aside, that stays with you, no matter what you achieve. Sony Gold Awards, Mobos, whatever, that stigma kind of stays with you 11 years on. Until I walked out of the BBC, I was remembered as the guy that just walked in every morning and went. But you know, that for me, so I think as well, socially, it helps you. You know, so I think that was my biggest challenge, really starting out until I found myself. So.
Thank you for your honesty.
Yeah.
How about you, Uche?
One thing no one's ever going to tell you is when you're a freelancer, freelance writer or journalist, you're out there on your own. You're doing it for yourself. And the biggest challenge is constantly keeping yourself motivated and drive. Everybody, especially sort of in today's culture and sort of Facebook and Twitter, you know, 140 characters, status updates, everybody's so up all the time and so winning, you know? Yeah, there's days when you're not. There's moments when you don't clinch that deal. And there's going to be times when you start to really sort of doubt yourself. Can I really do this? You know, am I good enough? And that's the difficult part. So the challenge is constantly keeping yourself motivated and believing in yourself. You really do have to. And I think, like Zeon said, you know, surrounding yourself with not only people who are more successful than you, that's always good, but people who are true to you and people who are good motivators and believe in you. I'm not going to say sort of don't surround yourself with negative people, I think that goes without saying, but really sort of finding other ways of just keeping yourself focused and keeping your eye on what it is you're trying to do, because the drive and the motivation, you're on your own. Sometimes you'd be writing, you know, for days. I don't know what everybody's setups will be, but you might sort of work from home or whatever. You might not meet other people for days. You know, you'll be at home trying to get that. I'm sure it's like that when you're songwriting, just trying to get that done, and then you reach writer's block, and it's like, oh, yeah. So that's drive, motivation. That's something you have to learn to master. When you're down, find a way of picking yourself up.
When you pointed Dom talking about challenges in the last 5 years, and you just thought, you know what, actually, because Dom literally is tweeting 24/7, and then points, you just thought, you know what, I just can't be asked doing this anymore.
Yeah, lots of times. You know, like she said, it's about keeping going. I mean, if I had £1 for everybody said that's a stupid idea, you're never going to make money off the back of that, I would actually be a millionaire by now.
But you know what is going to make you money, which you haven't mentioned, is your shopper driver.
Yeah, see, it's about looking for the next thing, the next opportunity. It's no point kind of like sitting back and going, okay, I've created this thing with 33,000 followers, I write for whoever. You've kind of got to be looking at the next thing as well. So it's all very nice that I'm sitting back on a great big Twitter account that everybody knows. I'm looking at other stuff. So I've now created an offshoot of that. It's called Shame Driver, and it's purely based on bad driving. That's it. That's the concept. It's bad parking, bad driving, it's dash cams, that kind of stuff. So that's now building itself up, and hopefully in the next few weeks I'm going to be releasing a range of my own branded dash cams. So it's about diversifying the stuff that you do into things that are going to make you money. So you kind of just need that little step ahead of where you think you're at.
Myself, we get challenges every level you go up. At first it's a challenge to find a recording studio. Then you find one, you record. It was also a challenge to get our very first mixtape into the shop. I remember how we overcome that. We kind of left one sample and then sent one of my mates in to go and buy that one and ask for it. Yeah, there's this new guy, Wretch, he's supposed to have a CD out, and the guy didn't actually give it to him. He said he doesn't have it, and then he came back and he was like, yeah, he said he doesn't have it. I was like, oh no, how am I going to overcome this? Then send someone else in, and then he realised that he had it and whatnot. And then it's a challenge to get your first record played on radio, on legal radio. You kind of overcome that, and of course you listen to the record and you text in yourself like, who's that guy, man? He sounds incredible. it's just about believing, because there's even at this level now we're still facing challenges. Do you know what I mean? And it's just finding the way to just kind of smash through every ceiling, because I don't think it stops. Like I look up to so many artists worldwide that are in the same lane as me, and then when I sit down and I watch a Kanye West interview, he's talking about ceilings that he's hitting in his field, and I'm like, man, you're a worldwide brand, you know what I mean? Your name is 10 times bigger than mine, so I just understand that there's always going to be challenges in what I do every way up, and I'm ready to face it.
And what would you say yours was?
Time management, because I have the responsibility where I have 4 different record deals with 4 different teams. That's about 40 people I need to know. 5 different publishing deals, that's 5 different teams. And then I have outside things, because I don't like to be reactive, I want to be proactive. So I have to be waking up 4 AM, just shut myself away from the world to think about what do I want to do. And at the same time I need to be thinking what's next, like yourself. So I've just got funding from a social initiative to launch something called You Connect to help young people. They've just set aside a quarter of £1 million for me to do that. That's responsibility. Where do I find time in my life to do that? But I understand that's a responsibility I've taken on that I have to see through to the end. So it's just hard. Like on the way here, I was on the phone for an hour. I have to schedule in my phone calls. So if I'm going to phone you, I'll put on my diary, call you at 11 o'clock. And obviously in the day, the drama's always going to happen, so there's things that are going to throw off my day, but it's just trying to kind of put a structure in my day that allows me to be as efficient as possible.
Can I just highlight that actually, time management and kind of like compartmentalising your life, those two things are so important to kind of excelling in life. Like you can't undervalue or underestimate how important it is. I know people say all the time, be on time, and just time management, that is a massive key to success in any capacity. Yeah.
Yeah, another question. Oh, right at the back. Off you go, Simon. The lady right at the back put her hand up first, then we'll take you.
Hi, my name is Lavinia, and I just want to know, what are your top tips for networking?
Good question. Well, a lot of what you do is achieved has been based on it. So what would you say is your number one tip for it?
It's, yeah, get involved. Get involved with social media. That's your friend. You'll meet the people you need to meet and make the contacts you need to make. So yeah, get stuck in with Twitter and Facebook and any other networks. But yeah, that's your number one.
Uche?
Yeah, say yes a lot. Like to things like this, you know, it's like when opportunities arise, take them, be there, do it. You know, if you're not, if you're outside, you're out of mind. And like I said about the writing post, you have to constantly be writing your post and doing your thing, and then you have to be going out and selling that. And that doesn't mean financially, it's letting everybody on Twitter know about it, and letting everybody on Facebook know about it, and Insta, and then sort of if all your friends and family are not retweeting and sharing and liking or whatever your post, you're failing already, because if your immediate circle aren't doing it, then what? You know, you have to, I used to call my brothers, sisters, everybody, can you tweet that? And I'd go to people's houses, like, I watch them, can you just... I'd start their laptops, and, you know, because they're always logged in on their own laptops and computers, and I'll just click on like and on everybody's... How did I don't watch that? So your people have to be your biggest support. But in terms of networking, yeah, say yes a lot and get out there.
Wretch?
I think definitely in addition to what these two have said, I think people still love a people's person. Do you know what I mean? And I think you can't put a price on just being able to even make someone laugh or hold a conversation. You know, and I think if you've got your whole Twitter thing and your whole Facebook and your Instagram at a certain level, because there will come a day when you actually meet the person you've been tweeting or you've been DMing or Insta DMing or whatnot, or whatever, you've been speaking to, and you know, you want to make a good impression. You only have one opportunity to make a first impression. That's the truth. So I just think, you know, don't ever underestimate the value of being a people's person.
Yeah, I agree with what everyone said so far. So just make sure you're on top of social networks, Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, LinkedIn, MySpace if you're still on MySpace.
How about in person?
Well, that's what I was going to say.
Okay, all right.
Yeah. Well, Zeon will mention that. I think you need to, but as well, emailing. I know emailing there, it's like kind of like a needle in a haystack, 1 in a million chance, but you may get that response that you don't expect, you know. So a lot of the things we do, to go back on what you said, are sponsored by brands like Beats by Dre, Adidas funded, whatever the case may be. So, you know, you need to be in contact with different brands as well as people. So just put yourself out there as much as you can.
And also, emails have to be written properly as well.
Yeah, email
spelling, punctuation.
I mean, we send quite a lot of emails a day, like literally 100 emails a day, so it's important. And not all of those people I've met before, you know, it's blind, it's a 1 in a million chance, but you've got to take it, and, you know, 5 out of those 100 emails will come back to you with an opportunity or a meeting at least. And some of the people that you're blind tweeting or emailing, like Wretch said, you may meet them at an event and you go, hi, it's me, I've been emailing you, and they say, okay, you know what I mean? So I say just put yourself out as much as possible.
On a personal note, I would say be careful of hiding behind social networks and emails, because there's nothing better than being able to speak to someone on the phone or even offering to take them to lunch and having face-to-face interaction.
That's what you did the first time. He took me to lunch the first time.
Ultimately, I'm so busy. Do I really want to be interacting on Twitter? And if you email me, not to be disrespectful, out of my 200 plus, you're not going to be high up on my priorities. But if you're saying next time you're free, I'll take you to lunch, even if it's half an hour of your time, it sounds like less of a chore. I'm going to do that. The moment I had lunch with you for half an hour, I know who you are for life. Whereas across Twitter, I'm not really that fast, to be honest. So I'll say make sure you kind of continuously work on your personal skills, because that's what's going to get you through life. When you go for a job interview or a business meeting to kind of get yourself a deal, that's when you're going to have to test how good you are, all skills, and getting across what you want to achieve. and your emails, you can be the best emailer in the world, or the best tweeter, you will embarrass yourself. So, yeah, but that's true. So be ready to be able to do that. To be able to meet someone once and make that person remember you.
Yeah. Can I just follow up on that as well? And I don't know if anybody knows meetup.com, which is like a online sort of social place where then you really meet up in real life for events. Join groups on meetup.com that do what you do. If you're a fashion blogger or a food blogger, go to fashion events a lot, go to food events a lot. It's not enough to just write about it and sort of read about it and then regurgitate it in your own words. You have to be on those scenes and circuits and known as a go-to person in your field.
But going back to what you said, Duane, about perhaps not having the skills to navigate that world at first, what skills did you take on to be able to walk into a room of execs or social events, what have you, where you need to network?
Yeah.
How did you manage to turn that around and realise, you know what, I can't just sit here on my own. I have to go and talk to that person.
I think it just comes with experience. I honestly think it comes with experience. So go to as many social events as possible. As you just mentioned, you have to be out there. You have to be out there talking to people. Like an event like this, you shouldn't really just get up and walk out. You should talk to at least 2, 3, 4 people before you leave, see what's going on. So I think for me, it just came with time. It just came with time. I got better at kind of expressing myself and kind of selling my ideas to different networks and different producers and directors and so on and so forth, different record companies when I went there with producers to try and get them on different album cuts and stuff like that. Just really comes with time. That's the only advice I can really give.
The gentleman in the Levi's jumper.
Yeah.
Can you grab the mic for me? So your dulcet tones can be heard on the video.
Hello, I'm radio. Question for all of you actually. How do you actually protect your brand in terms of if you're blogging or vlogging and you're approaching a TV company or an online company and you've got a proposal or treatment? How do you make sure and protect that they're not going to say no to you, but they're like, well, I like this idea, I'm going to use it, for my own purposes?
That's great I know you had that then, Brett, I'm going to go with you guys, because that's very true. If you've got a great idea for a TV show, how do you make sure that someone else isn't going to go and make it after you've proposed
It's
to them?
difficult. I think you can do that in all different capacities. Like we could send the beat over to someone. We don't know if that A&R's going to give it to one of the producers that then make managers or whatever else.
Well, I had it in America.
Yeah.
When I went to America and I've been there a bunch of times. This time there was a huge array of excitement. I found myself with good music. Then I found myself with that person. And again, I called a couple of people for advice and they said, do not send your music as an MP3 because it'll get copied. So the ability to kind of be around experienced people or that connected to that market helped me, because through excitement I might have just sent records, come back to the UK and in the future had heard something that had been copied of one of my acts. So it's difficult because plagiarism happens everywhere. I would always say, if you've only got one good idea and you're going to kind of worry about that one good idea that gets taken, then you're not good enough. Because you should be able to have hundreds of ideas. And I'm that confident in myself to say, cool, you can take that, and you can take that, and you can take 10 of them, because you're not going to be able to take what I've got in here. And I'm going to consistently keep churning out ideas of what I want to do.
Yeah.
So,
You can't be too paranoid about that. I mean, you can protect yourself as much as possible. So, kind of, yeah, it's difficult. I had this idea once that I was going to training, like football training. It's one of my favourite pastimes, playing football. So I went to football training with this guy called Jamie Lawrence, who used to play for Bradford FC. And he had this basically like an academy where he basically, back in the day, he went from prison to Premiership in 1 year. So I had this idea to take that whole lifestyle that he had onto TV. And the network basically stole it and used Ian Wright instead of Jamie Lawrence. And all they did was change a few parts of the treatment. So something silly, like I went to like a hostel or something to take the kids to train with Jamie Lawrence. And instead of doing that, they went to like a police station or something stupid. So if they change little bits of the program, unfortunately, you can't trademark or copyright that. There's nothing that you can really do. So what I tend to do is come up with ideas that are so original that you could only use the person that I'm going to the network with. Do you see what I mean? So they can't do the program idea without that person, but obviously that does limit you, but at the same time, there's almost nothing you can do. You can ask for a paper trail, you can go to court and say, well, I couldn't take on that network at that time, it's a lot of money. Yeah, if I went to them and said, I need you to prove that you came up with this idea before I got in contact with you, you really need a lawyer to do that. But you can do that.
Sometimes I feel that, not in an arrogant way, but in a confident way. Once you get yourself to a stage where people want to work with you, they'll want, even if you're not ready, they'll want to work with you in some capacity because they like your aura and they think you're good enough to see that thing through. So when I put forth any proposal, I will flatly say to the guy, look, you need me, I need you, this is where I need you, this is where you need me. If it's not going to happen, no. And there's not a no, it's that, so how are we going to do this? And we sit there and map out how we're going to do it. I'll be really surprised if someone took my idea and went with someone else, because I wouldn't worry about the person. I would look at myself and think, what do I need to improve to make sure that doesn't happen again?
And with Dom, actually, Channel 5 did the programme Angry Britain using your name. You refused to get involved in it, but you decided not to take that any further. Why?
There's no point, because ultimately in about September there's going to be a show on Channel 5 that's going to run for 6 weeks concurrently using my brand. And if people always naturally assume that it is my show, I've got something to do with it, I'm not going to tell them any different. It's going to be fantastic for my brand in the long run, so it's kind of backfired a little bit. So what they should have done really is paid me a fee and have me on board, and it would have all been lovely. But
So are you going to tweet while it's on?
Can I just add to that? So it happened to us a lot. We had a lot of sites when we started to do what we do. And some of them, it was so obvious that it was irritating, but there's not a lot you can do. And some of them, we actually just called them up and said, look, how can we help you be better? Because seriously, if they get good, we get better. We created something that didn't really exist. We created a kind of new niche, sort of UK urban gossip. It didn't exist before, and everyone looked at that and thought, oh my God, wow. So you're going to get, flattery is the best, what is it, not flattery is the best, imitation is the best form of flattery. So we kind of looked at it like that way. But some of them, one or two of them, we did call up and say, yo, and we became friends, and then they'd send us stuff and things that we couldn't do anymore, or we didn't have time for, we'd send them, and we'd work together. But something I learned very early on in this industry, and through the whole sort of rise of social media, and the way social media has changed the way we work, is exactly what you said. If someone has stolen something you've done, find a way of harnessing and embracing that, because the fight isn't worth it. It's expensive. It's expensive.
And the energy wise,
It's good to know that you've got the right ideas. I know that's not much, but it's good to know that you're heading in the right direction with your ideas. But there are also some websites, there's quite a few websites online where you can copyright your idea, and you can CC them in as well when you send your ideas to different networks. You can do that, but that doesn't actually mean that, if your idea does get stolen, they're going to retrieve it for you, but you can do that as well.
I don't actually know what I'll do if someone stole my record.
It happens, man. It happens all the time.
Yeah, so say someone overhears you in the studio and they go, oh, he's got an amazing beat. Then we just record that and let's see if I can recreate it for another artist.
Like, for the beat, I don't think I'd have an issue. It's more lyrics, I think. If it was like, if I actually heard my lyrics, what I've said on something that I hadn't put out there, I don't know how I'd tackle that.
Would you? You'd fight it, though, wouldn't you? Because that's...
We've had similar...
not that way, maybe.
Not through the legal channels.
It's a great area.
No, but you have it.
It's a proper great area.
I had a scenario where this songwriter who wrote huge records went into a session with Jacob. They wrote a song together for Jacob. He turned around after the session. Actually, I didn't hear it from him. Marked down the line. I heard from someone, actually, he said he wrote it about his wife, that his fiance, and then he sings it at his wedding. So now it's like, emotionally, you can't take it. So I got an email today on, he wants to use it. And it's like, we sang at his wedding, this, that. So my compromise now is, cool, you do your version that Disclosure does, and can we have our version that Knock's done and everyone's happy? Because we can keep fighting it, but ultimately, I don't want to affect the release of the record. And
does it pay a lot of money as well?
Well, it is what it is. For me, I just kind of would prefer for everyone to amicably just find a resolution rather than hiding behind a lawyer, because no one wants to pay those fees. It's not worth it.
I think to protect yourself, I know you shouldn't really have to go into a meeting with this mindset as well, but maybe I went to the network with that idea at a really early stage where I probably couldn't produce and direct the program. Whereas if I went in as a consultant, they may have hired me as a consultant and I would have got my credit that way, rather than saying, this guy can't do this program by himself, we're just going to take the idea. So maybe it's about being a little bit realistic as well. If you're going in with an idea that, you know, you want to produce yourself, the likelihood is they're going to, you know, say you can't do it and just maybe run off with your idea. But if you go in as maybe a producer on a show, as well as one of the creators, and so on and so forth, you've got a better chance. So it's about being realistic.
Realistically, I think basically you guys are going to get ripped off at some point.
Yeah, that's true.
It's going to happen. So
When you start at the bottom.
yeah, but the thing is, what you kind of got to remember is that by the time someone's ripped off your idea, if you're doing what you're doing right, you're already on to the next thing anyway. It doesn't really matter. But by the time they've copied your idea, you're already on 3 steps ahead. So it's going to happen. Deal with it.
So having said all that, what's your idea?
Oh, well, gents, you're actually slightly overrun, but thank you so much. Have been brilliant. Give them a round of applause.